Okay, let's dive into this stack of sources we've got. They lay out, well, a potentially huge shift for the U.S. economy. Our goal here is to really unpack the economic consequences the materials suggest could happen if the U.S. actually moves towards what they're calling zero migration America. And the really big change, the kind of shocker here, is that America might see net migration just drop to zero, maybe even go negative in 2025, which is a massive reversal if you think about it. Net immigration was running, what, over 2.5 million a year just recently?
Yeah.
It basically flips a switch on a trend that's propped up U.S. growth since, well, the 1950s.
And that's what makes it potentially so significant. If this policy push actually works as intended, it might be the single biggest economic policy move of the current administration, because it hits right at a core strength, that demographic dynamism, just when the native-born workforce is, as the research notes, fast graying.
Right. So what are the actual steps involved in this zero migration push? The sources detail quite a few things, with breathtaking vigor, as they put it. We're talking an effective closure of the Mexican border, ICE stepping up deportation rates. And this one's interesting, specifically targeting high-skilled workers, too. There's a plan for a massive $100,000 fee for an H-1B visa.
That H-1B fee is huge. That's the main visa for skilled foreign workers. And then you've also got this chill spreading towards universities, making foreign students and researchers think twice.
And that links directly to innovation, doesn't it?
Exactly. This isn't just about, filling jobs people assume migrants always do. It's about top-level talent. The sources point out, look at the Magnificent Seven tech companies. 4 of the 7 CEOs were born outside the U.S. And if you look at patents as a measure, immigrants drive about 1/3 of all American innovation. So that H-1B charge, it's a serious barrier.
1/3? Wow. And Barclay has actually put a number on that H-1B fee impact.
Yeah, they estimate that fee alone could shrink the whole H-1B route by about 30%.
30%? Just from that one fee? That's a really targeted hit on those high-skill, high-wage sectors.
Definitely. But it's not just tech, of course. You see huge reliance in other areas. Think about agriculture. Over half of all farm workers are migrants. Construction. 1/4 of builders. Now, unemployment's already pretty low. So where do these companies find workers if arrivals stop or deportations ramp up? It becomes a real struggle fast.
Oh, and you can already see ripples of this, right? The sources mentioned San Diego. Businesses there are apparently bracing for impact.
Yeah.
Even workers who are there legally are sometimes afraid to go to work if ICE is known to be active nearby.
Yeah, that fear factor is real. People worry about getting caught up in raids, even by mistake. And there's history here, We've seen crackdowns before, and they had economic costs. Remember the Secure Communities Deportation Program. Between about 2008 and 2013, research linked that push to driving up new house prices by 1/5, simply because the construction industry lost so many workers.
1/5, just from that specific program. So a broader zero migration policy could have much bigger effect.
You'd certainly expect them to be larger, yeah. Much more widespread.
Okay, so we've got industry-specific impacts.
Yeah.
What about the bigger picture, like the Fed, inflation, that sort of thing? The materials connect the recent immigration surge, the one from 2022 to 2024, to the whole soft landing discussion, saying it helped meet demand from stimulus spending. So less migration now. Could that mean prices nudge up again? Maybe force the Fed to keep rates higher for longer?
It's a definite possibility. Less labor supply tends to push up wages and potentially prices. And beyond inflation, there's the productivity angle. Migrants often complement native workers, allowing them to specialize, which boosts overall output. The IMF actually found that for rich countries, a 1 percentage point increase in the migrant share of the adult population raises GDP per person by about 2%.
2% increase in GDP per person.
Right. So blocking that flow means you lose that specialization benefit, potentially slowing down productivity growth.
And then the government finances, the debt.
The CBO, that's the Congressional Budget Office, they estimated the immigration wave under the previous administration would actually reduce the deficit by about $90 billion a year over the next decade, mostly because immigrants tend to be younger, work, and pay taxes.
So logically, cutting migration would do the opposite, make the deficit worse.
That's the implication, yes. It would make paying off that huge national debt even harder down the line.
Okay, so summing this up, if these analyses are right, these policies could end up making people already living in the U.S. poorer. Is that the takeaway? Lower productivity growth, bigger debt burden. It doesn't sound great for the average resident.
That seems to be the economic argument laid out in the sources, yes. Slower growth, tougher fiscal situation. But here's a fascinating twist right at the end. Public opinion seems to be moving in the opposite direction of these policies. The polling data mentioned shows 79% of Americans now think immigration is actually a good thing for the country. That's apparently the highest that figure has ever been.
79%. While policies might push towards zero migration.
Exactly. So the big question left hanging is, if these potentially damaging economic policies stay in place, can that harm be avoided even if most people are starting to feel more positive about immigration itself? It's quite the contradiction.